Welcome to Scales of Compassion. Compassion means to suffer with. It focuses on pain, hardship, human frailty, with a motivation to help. So it's not just feeling sorry for someone. It includes that motivation to help relieve the pain, hardship, or human frailty. Compassion is about emotional or physical pain, distress, or hardship, not enacted behavior. So you can condemn a behavior and still feel compassion for the physical pain, distress, or hardship that may have caused the behavior. This is especially important in families. If you just condemn the behavior, it's more likely to be repeated. Condemning behavior with compassion for the underlying vulnerability makes it less likely to be repeated. Compassion heals. To deeply sympathize with the emotional pain of another is to heal your own. Compassion heals by giving it, not by receiving it. Receiving compassion is healing only when it inspires reciprocity. You probably know people who can't receive compassion. If you're compassionate to them, they get irritated or cold and rejecting, and they don't heal. Now, of course, it's much easier to give compassion when you get it because of emotion reciprocity. But if you don't give it, you won't heal. Now, compassion versus pity. Compassion implies equality. Despite our differences in luck or circumstance, we're equally valuable. Pity implies inequality. I pity you because you're deficient in some way, naive, stupid, uneducated, immoral, ugly, poor, unskilled, and so on. There's a measure of superiority in pity. Compassion has a motivation to connect emotionally to another, while pity is merely feeling bad at the sight of another's suffering. The German playwright Bertolt Brecht said that the first time you see a beggar on the street, you'll give him your coat, but the second time you'll call a policeman to have him removed. And that's because it makes you feel unpleasant to see that person, and if giving them their coat didn't make them rescue them from their homelessness, then you want them removed. So pity has a way of turning into contempt. Compassion is the lifeblood of relationships. As it diminishes, they march slowly towards death. Compassion for partners must be in balance with self-compassion. If it's not, you're going to burn out. It won't last. In balance, they yield compassionate assertiveness. That's when you stand up for your rights and your preferences in a way that is compassionate to the vulnerability and hardship and pain of other people. Your rights and preferences are equal, not superior and not inferior. Now, the following scale can reveal the state of compassion in your relationship and highlight how to improve it. When I'm angry, I recognize that I'm feeling hurt or devalued in some way. See, anger is a defense against the hurt or devalued feelings, vulnerable feelings, but they don't heal, they don't correct as long as you're angry. So self-compassion will help you realize that the anger is being caused by some kind of hurt and you have to make that better. When I'm angry, I try to do something that will make me feel more valuable. When you feel more valuable, you won't be angry. When my partner is angry, I recognize that he or she feels hurt or devalued. When my partner is angry, I usually try to make him or her know that I care. If I were compassionate, my partner would take advantage of me. That is a major barrier to compassion. But if you have self-compassion and practice compassionate assertiveness, you won't be taken advantage of. It might not be received optimally, but you will be right in experiencing compassion because that is your core value, and you can't let anyone disrupt your core value. I sympathize with my partner's hurt or distress even when we disagree. When I'm angry at my partner and consider his or her point of view, I get angrier, feel kinder toward him and her, and better about myself. I cannot be compassionate to someone who is wrong. If that's your feeling, you're going to have a very hard time in the emotion regulation because you're going to be highly reactive to other people. When my partner doesn't get my perspective, I tend to get angry or resentful or try to understand his or her perspective. The only way to get your partner to understand your perspective is to try to understand your partner's. I believe that compassion is making excuses for bad behavior or encouraging good behavior. Now here's a compassionate commitment to put more compassion in your relationship. Because I care about you and our relationship, I will make a supreme effort to be compassionate to you. I will recognize that when I'm resentful or angry, I'm really hurt or anxious, and that you are most likely hurt or anxious too. I will care when you are hurt or anxious and try to help. I will always tell you the truth and be honest with you in every way. I will always treat you with value and respect. I will appreciate the assets and qualities you bring to our relationship. I will try hard to heal my hurt and regulate my anxiety and support your efforts to do the same. I will not criticize or ignore you. I will not try to control, manipulate, coerce, threaten, or intimidate you. I will not purposely make you feel bad in any way. I will acknowledge and correct the blind spots of my behavior. Everyone has blind spots in your behavior just because our brains did not evolve to objectively analyze our own behavior. But we have to become more sensitive to the effects of our behavior on other people, especially people we love. I will try hard to understand your perspective and sympathize with your feelings, especially when we disagree. I will stay true to my deepest values and try hard to be the best person and partner I can be. Now, the great barrier to compassion is chronic resentment. They're incompatible. You can't be resentful and compassionate at the same time. If your resentment in your relationship has become chronic, that means it's habituated and your brain does it automatically, and you start looking for things to resent just to protect yourself. If that's the case, then you will probably need the Love Without Hurt bootcamp. And that's available at compassionpower.com. There's also a lot of free material there. If it's not chronic, then you probably don't need the boot camp, and just visiting the website can help.